Now, it is absolutely shameful how often we have to talk about this. And frankly, I'm sorry that we have to do so. But we do have to talk about it because there has been yet another anti-Semitic incident in Sydney. These seem to be happening almost daily at this point. It has been revealed that the Southern Sydney Synagogue last night was graffitied with swastikas and really horrendous anti-Semitic phrases. It's another chilling reminder that to the Jewish community of the hatred that sadly exists in our streets. I want to bring in now to talk about this Liberal Senator Dave Sharma. Dave, yet another attack, and these are coming, seems to be more and more frequently, which is pretty depressing. What are your reactions to this?
Look, I'm appalled by this latest attack, but you're right. I mean, they're happening with such alarming regularity and frequency that it's almost becoming a part of daily life in Australia, and that saddens me greatly. I mean, the AFP task force that was stood up a month ago now to look into anti-Semitism has already got 102 active investigations into incidents in 1 month. That just tells you the horrible situation we're dealing with. And I truly believe it's a result of not having tackled this early on. We all saw the signs of this in elements of the public reaction to the 7th of October terrorist attack. We all could see how people were conflating criticism of Israel with targets against the Jewish community well over a year ago, but it's taken this government far too long to act. And as a result, what many of us feared has happened. Anti-Semitic behaviour has increasingly become normalised here in Australia.
I want to play for you here what the Prime Minister had to say today about this latest incident. Have a listen to this.
There is no place in Australia, our tolerant multicultural community, for this sort of criminal activity. Australians should respect each other.
Now, he's saying the right words, but it feels to me, like this is too little, too late after so much time when he kind of left a vacuum, especially after October 7th, for this hatred to rush in, and when he's running a foreign policy that seems to be quite explicitly against Israel and what it's trying to do, right down to refusing visas for former Israeli cabinet ministers to come to Australia.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think the government has made a very big contribution to the problem that we're dealing with now. Firstly, they've been hesitant about calling this out. In their early days, they couldn't mention anti-Semitism without mentioning other forms of racial discrimination and prejudice, which we have not been seeing on anywhere near the same scale. We've seen even the Prime Minister say, when confronted with news of the firebombing attack of the Synagogue, I believe, he started off by saying, well, anti-Semitism's been with us for a long time, like it's just business as usual. These are the wrong responses, but also the continued demonisation of Israel by senior Labor cabinet ministers has fanned the flames of anti-Jewish sentiment in Australia. That may not have been the intent of those ministers, but it was always going to have that consequence. And the loose language used by Anthony Albanese's colleagues has contributed to this.
And I think you're absolutely right. And, Dave, you warned people, and I did, and a number of other people here on this network also said that reaction, that response was going to encourage this sort of thing, whether they intended it or not. But I want to move on because we also have a problem with one of our most important diplomats seemingly being a bit ashamed of Australia. The Australian has reported that our High Commissioner Stephen Smith to the UK was going to skip a black tie Australia Day gala dinner in London, but apparently he's backtracked. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I mean, he's obviously done a backflip with Pike,
Yeah.
But it shows you where his heart is. I mean, last year, it's been the custom for Australia House, this property that's owned by the taxpayer, to host an Australia Day gala dinner going back many years. And high commissioners have opened those premises to host this dinner, which raises money for charity, but also showcases Australia to one of our most important trading and commercial and strategic partners. Stephen Smith decided last year to shut the doors of Australia House and told the organisers to go elsewhere. So this year, they've gone and found a private venue, asked the Australian High Commissioner along. Stephen Smith says he's too busy. I mean, what kind of brand ambassador, and this is what Stephen Smith is, what kind of brand ambassador boycotts the product? Would you keep someone employed for Nike if they said, we're not going to wear your shoes? I disagree with Nike shoes or apparel. Stephen Smith is employed by us, the taxpayers, to represent Australia. If he's ashamed of Australia, if he won't celebrate our National Day, then he's got no business taking that money and doing that job. He should be resigning.
Dave Sharma, couldn't agree more. Very well said. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and we'll catch up again soon.